everybody, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video I have done a Valentine's Day look. I have collabed with the beautiful and ever so talented Makeup with Jar. She has done like an antiqued green, goldy, glittery smoky eye. We decided to both do a Valentine's Day look, so I'll leave all of her links down below so you can check out her video and check out her channel. I'm always watching her videos, so I'm pretty sure you'll get hooked too. Anyway, let's start with the tutorial. So taking NYX Pore Filler Primer, I'm just going to apply this in the areas where my pores are larger, which is mainly my nose, on my cheeks, my forehead, and then a little bit on my chin. I'm then going to go in with my Marc Jacobs. This is a coconut primer, and I'm going to apply this everywhere else on the face. This is more with normal to dry for skins. I wouldn't necessarily wear this if I was really oily. At the moment I am quite dry, so I do like this to put underneath my foundation. Then I'm going to go in with Armani Luminous Silk, which is Giorgio Armani, sorry, Luminous Silk foundation in the shade 6.5, and I'm just going to buff this in and use tapping motions with my Real Technique sponge. I always like this sponge to be damp, but I leave it for about 10 minutes before I use it, and I'm just going to apply this everywhere on the face. Then to contour my face, I'm taking my mascara contour shade in the colour Stone, and I'm going to apply this underneath my cheekbones, and then I'm going to make like a little round half moon shape underneath my cheeks because I don't have a lot of cheeks, so I like to give the illusion that I'm a bit more plumped in those areas. I'm going to fill in my forehead, so the bits of my hair that recedes and makes me look like I've got a massive forehead. So I'm just going to get rid of those by putting it all the way across my forehead and into those kind of caves on either side of my head, and then I'm going to bring just a little bit down so it blends nicely with the foundation. I'm going to apply this in my temples, which I often see people don't apply in their temples, and I honestly do recommend it. It makes your cheekbones look bigger because you're making the shadows on top of the cheekbone and underneath the cheekbone, so it'll make your cheekbone look twice as big. I'm also going to cut off the like chin area of my face. I have quite a long and prominent chin, so I always like to chisel that away. Then I'm taking my Expert face brush from Real Techniques, and I'm just going to buff this in, and I honestly just tap it into the skin. I don't use circular motions because I feel like that would just get rid of all of my foundation, so I always just tap it in and buff it in. It does take a long time to buff everything in, but it just looks more seamless and it just blends way better. Then for concealer, I'm going in with my LA Girl Pro Concealer in Creamy Beige. Now the best way that I find to use these concealers is if I squirt a load on the back of my hand and then just every time that I need some, like pick it up from the back of my hand. If you just squirt it onto the brush and use it, you kind of use too much product, and then you end up trying to like buff loads away, and then it's one, a waste of product, and two, you'll probably get a bit cakey. So I always do it this way. I just find it easier. So I pick up the product that's needed on the back of my hand and apply it underneath my eyes in a big triangle shape. I like to go down the sides of my nose as well, just to add like a natural contour without actually using like a contour color. And then I like to put it on my forehead, and I create like a little, I don't know, flower, go down the center of my nose, on my cupid's bow, on my lip, and then across the top lip, just in the center. Then taking the same sponge, I'm going to buff it in. I always like to use the same like sponge or brush that I've used with the foundation, because the little bit of foundation that's left over will help blend this out much nicer, and it will give it like a nicer color. Everything looks more blended, whereas if you use a new one, you'd probably keep it kind of pale. I mean, it's totally up to you. I just prefer it this way. It looks more natural to me. On a side note, this look is nowhere near natural. And then Shock, I'm going in with my MAC Soft Ochre Paint Pot, and I'm going to apply this all over my eyes. I also love using my Zoeva 142 Concealer Buffer Brush to apply this to. The hairs on it makes it so much easier to blend out, and it's a kind of sturdy brush, so it's easier to work with rather than just using a flimsy brush. Now I have already done my eyebrows. I have got an eyebrow tutorial which I'll link down below. Then taking my Laura Mercier translucent powder, I'm first going to use the sponge to make sure all of my creases are gone before I bake, and then I'm just going to apply this with my 114 Luxe Face Focus brush. I am preferring using the powder first with a brush to buff this on top to set the concealer first, and then I'll go in later and bake. It's so much nicer because I think when the concealer's wet and you bake straight on top, then the thicker amount of product sticks to it, whereas if you do this step first, it's so much easier to bake with. So definitely try it that way around yourself. I'm then going in with my Peaches and Cream bronzing powders. They're both light medium, but one's a matte shade and one's a shimmer shade, so I just mixed the two, and I'm applying this with my Zoeva Luxe highlight brush, which is in number 105, and I'm just going to apply this underneath my cheekbones and curve it on the apples of my cheeks. I'm also going to go in my temples and my forehead and just a little bit under the chin. Then taking my Laura Mercier powder and the other side of the sponge, so this side is the flat side of the sponge, I'm going to bake underneath my eyes first, and then I'm going to bake underneath the contour. A lot of people have been asking me how to get rid of fallout. So if you bake underneath the eyes, what happens is the fallout falls on all of that powder, so then when you brush it away afterwards, all of the pigment or the glitters or whatever is falling down onto your face just brushes away with it without leaving a mark underneath your eyes. If you were to buff this in first though underneath the eyes and then try and brush away everything else, then you'll get swipe marks. So definitely leave the powder there until after you've done eyeshadow. Then the first colour that I'm going to go in with is Creme Brulee by Makeup Geek using my 228 crease brush from Zoeva. I honestly have never found a better transition shade or a better crease brush to use, so I'm sorry if I keep using these brushes, but they're honestly one of the best, and they aren't even that expensive. I don't think if you're a makeup artist or a makeup junkie that you would even find them that expensive. Like, nothing compares to these compared to MAC, and MAC are like twice, maybe 3 times the amount. I'm using windscreen wiper motions and circular motions to buff this in. I'm also going to bring it down to the outer corner as well and make a nice rounded shape to it. Then I'm taking Bitten by Makeup Geek, which is a beautiful purpley pinky shade, and I didn't want to add too much yet. I just wanted to build up the color gradually, so I just added a little tap on my brush, and then I'm going to work this into the outer corner and then drag it through my crease using circular motions. If you use circular motions, it will give you a softer feel, and then if you use windscreen wiper motions, it will give you a harsher feel. So whenever I'm trying to keep anything soft, I always use circular motions or like sweep it into the like inner lid area. Then taking the Flaming Love palette, and I'm taking this Ready Pinky shade, and I'm going to take it on my 227 crease brush from Zoeva. And first of all, I'm going to place the colour where I want it, so I'm going to kind of tap it in and swipe it in those areas, and then once I'm happy with where I've put it, I'm then going to start buffing it out. I find if you're going to go in with darker colours or a colour that's kind of really pigmented or just a bit scary, I always like to map out where I'm putting it first before I start blending it, because then it's easier to blend out once it's there than if you go in and blend straight away and then you've accidentally put it into a different place. Also on the outer corner, I'm going to sweep just a tiniest bit out because I felt like it just needed to blend better, and it looked better once I've swept it out just a little bit. Still keeping it rounded, but I'm just going to let it have a nice gradient feel on the outer corner as well. After that, I'm taking Americano. I nearly forgot the word then. Nearly said fudge, but it's not. I'm taking Americano from Makeup Geek, and I'm going to use this on the outer corner. And everything that I do now, I'm going to try and keep it quite low. So although I'm using circular motions and I'm buffing it in, I'm trying to keep my brush very low and kind of, I don't know what's the word. What is the word? I think I'm going to say tight. I think that makes sense. Keep everything kind of tight and kind of in nick with the lower part of your eye. Does that make sense? I think it does. To me it does. And then I'm going to use a fluffier brush, and I'm just going to blend everything out on the outer edges just to make sure there's no harshness and everything looks gradient. Then I'm taking my Maybelline Gel Eyeliner to draw a wing. I'm just going to keep it like a nice simple normal kind of thickness and length of a wing. Normally I try and stay away from winged eyeliner when I'm doing glitter, but I decided to just do it. And I'm using my 317 wing liner brush from Zoeva. I always like to do my wing first, and then I'll fill in the wing and then do the rest of the eye. Next, I'm going to be using the most amazing pressed glitter. It is from Glitter Injections and it is in the color Copper Crush. I personally think out of all of her pressed glitters, this is the most prettiest. It is super pretty and the pigment is insane. I honestly loved pressed pigments. I'm completely converted. Like, everything needs to be pressed now. It's only because if you get fallout as well, it clumps, so you don't get loads of different like little specks of glitter everywhere. You just get like a little clump, and once you tap it away or brush it away, it just falls off. The best way I find applying this is with a synthetic brush. You can use your finger, but I prefer a brush, and I pat and sweep it on. I then thought I needed a little bit of shimmer on the inner corner, so I went in with Vanilla by MAC, and I just used a pencil brush and I just added a tiniest tap on the inner corner. It just gave a little bit of a sparkle to that inner point. And then I'm going to be taking my Fire Lashes from Huda Beauty just to apply, and I've applied those with Duo Glue. And for my lower lash line, I wanted to keep everything kind of soft, so I only went in with Frappe from Makeup Geek, and I'm going to apply this with my 231 Petite Crease Brush on my lower lash line, working from inner corner to outer corner, but mainly the most colour on the outer corner. Then just to darken it up a tad, I used the tiniest bit of Americano just to define that outer corner, because although it's going to be a soft makeup look, nothing can ever be too natural with me. Then taking my Sigma mascara, I can't actually remember the name, so I'll leave it down below, but I wanted my eyelashes to be very separated, so I've used a mascara that has lots of different, I call them teeth, but lots of different teeth on them to separate them and keep them looking nice and like thin and long rather than more like volume and clumped. Then I'm just going to brush away all of the excess powder. I've already done my eyes. For some reason I didn't film it. I don't know why. So I just brushed off all of the excess powder, so all of that baking that we've done. Then I'm going to go in with a bit of blush, and I'm using Sincere from MAC. It honestly is my favourite colour. It's so matte and it's in between a pink and a bronzy shade. Then going in with my Glow Kit from Anastasia Beverly Hills. I'm using the shades Dripping in Gold and Bubbly, and I'm using her highlighting brush. I'm just going to apply this on my cheeks, so on the apples of my cheeks and up top of my cheekbone, down the center of my nose, and then using a little brush I'm going to do the Cupid's bow on my lip too. Just gives you a poutier feel. Then next I'm going to go in with Whirl Lip Liner from MAC, and I'm going to shade in like ombre, so I'm going to outline my lips, and then I'm going to shade in the outer edges and leave the center clear. And then I'm just taking Anastasia Beverly Hills lip gloss in Butterscotch, and I'm going to apply this on the center of my lips. I'm going to pucker and pout my lips together and then use my finger to tap it in to whirl. And that's it, guys. This is the completed Valentine's Day look. I hope you have enjoyed this tutorial. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And I hope you have a wonderful Valentine's Day. I will probably be working and watching a movie solo. Anyway, enjoy yourselves, and until next time, I'll see you soon. Bye!